Good morning, viewers. It's Robert Atfield reporting for Port Carling Boats. It's Monday, January the 9th, 2017. We're in Gravenhurst, Ontario here on a very snowy day. We've had tons of snow in Muskoka this winter, and we're expecting tons more. I think it's going to be shovel the roof time off for me. Anyway, we're here at Mike Windsor's shop, and Mike has kindly invited us in to see what his current projects are. Let's go check it out. We're looking here, viewers, at a 22-foot Greavette, 1958. Quite a massive looking boat when it's upside down. Mike's putting a brand new bottom on this boat. Mahogany planking, double skinned obviously, and it looks like a layer of marine ply underneath. Brass screws, I presume. And a new half transom by the look of it. She's going to be beautiful when she's done. We're looking here, viewers, at quite a remarkable boat. A late 1920s Chris Craft special, 27 feet long. Apparently this was a demonstrator boat, in a sense, used at boat shows to advertise the Chris Craft brand. It was one of 400 apparently, and this was the first one. Chris Craft designed their own engine for this boat, apparently, and if I remember Mike correctly, I believe it's an 8-cylinder. Massive restoration job going on here. Engine's out at the moment. Beautiful, beautiful lines on this boat. It's magnificent. Isn't that something? Gorgeous, gorgeous lines. This is a pretty major overhaul, Mike, I presume. No new bottom on her, though, by the look of it. Unless you've done.
Somebody started it 20 years ago, and they put a new deck on it. I don't know anything about who did it.
Right.
It just kind of came this way.
Yeah.
So without an interior, so we're just redoing the interior and making a lot of hardware. Some of the fun stuff like this curved brass.
Okay.
Around the cockpit, this is quite unique to a Chris Craft. Usually they had a fabric here, but this is bent brass. After making it and realizing why they did it without brass.
Well, it's certainly looking wonderful. Will it be a local boat when it's completed, or is it heading out of the...
around Honey Harbor.
Oh, good. So it's still in Ontario. Well, viewers, for any of you that are living in the Ontario area, Honey Harbor, Georgian Bay, you might see this boat on the water at some point. Thank you, Mike. It's a beautiful boat, and it looks like you're doing a great restoration job. How different cottage country looks in winter as opposed to summer. And of course, no trip to Gravenhurst would be complete without a look at our two classic historic steamboats. One certainly, Segwun, well over 100 years old now, and her sister ship, Winona II, which is a rebuild of a traditional steamer. Looks like Segwun's got a bit of a list to her today. Hopefully just a question of ice weight on one side or something similar. Anyway, I'm sure these boats will be up and running again this coming summer, 2017, to the enjoyment and pleasure of probably several thousand passengers. We're continuing our winter tour here, viewers, at Brackley Boats, also in Gravenhurst, Ontario. As you can see by the drifts here, we have had a lot of snow, with more to come. Let's see what Paul's working on this morning. Here's Paul, viewers. Paul's going to tell us a little bit about a new technique he's devised for the brass hardware on the boat that he's working on currently.
Well, hi, Bob. We have a boat here that's a 1929 Dodge water car. All the hardware is brass. The customer wants the brass, but he doesn't want the maintenance. So we're going to try to. In the past, we've clear coated brass, smaller pieces with like lacquer sprays and stuff, but it never lasts and it doesn't work well with water. It goes white. So we're trying to. We're having it polished and then we're applying an etching agent to the brass, because once you get it polished and then you clear it with something, it's not going to want to stick because it's too shiny and too smooth.
Makes sense.
So they're polishing it, and they're then applying an etching agent, and we're using a automotive 2-part urethane clear coat. So we're trying that to see if that's going to work. And
interesting innovation.
well, this is a piece that the sample piece that we've done, and it's been done for a month or so now. And the only other thing we're going to have to do is, I think, when we put the screws in all the hardware, we're worried about the screw chewing a little bit of urethane out. So we're going to put a little dab of Vaseline on each screw as it goes in, so it doesn't break the seal finish.
Sure.
And then we'll have to go along and artist brush a little bit of clear over all the screws.
Wow.
And then hopefully it'll last for many, many years, and you won't have to do anything.
Oh, interesting experiment. May the force be with you. I hope it works. Certainly save whoever has to maintain the boat a lot of work.
Yeah, that's right. He does not want to polish this stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. Now, viewers, I'm going to pan around. Paul's been talking about a 1929 Dodge water car. And I had no idea they made water cars this massive. This is a 26-footer, as I mentioned, 1929. And Paul's and his team are doing a lot of work on this boat, a lot of finishing work. Paul tells me that the screws, some of the screws for the planking were, the battens rather, were installed from the inside out. So the ends of the screws, if you do too much sanding, will start to show through the planking. So that's certainly a concern. But for a boat that was built in the 1920s, it's still looking pretty fabulous. Once again, very beautiful lines on this boat. The Dodge company tried to produce boats on a production line basis, and I think eventually they were unsuccessful. I guess there just wasn't the demand for that many boats to make it profitable to build them in that way. And this looks to me like the original engine. And of course it certainly seems to be. It says Dodge Curtis Marine Motor. Isn't that something? The original engine. Obviously refurbished with period wiring. Period correct wiring by the look of it. Wow. Huge old 8-cylinder. Well, once again, this is going to be a magnificent specimen when it's up and running. The other project in Paul's shop, viewers, is a 1958 for 57, sorry, I got my stats wrong again. 1957 Stancraft, a beaver tail. Paul tells me this boat's powered by an 8-cylinder engine. It goes like stink, Paul says. And it's in for some chine work and a bit of planking and obviously a complete refinishing. Isn't that interesting? Paul reminds me that the beaver tail is a little bit in style, is a little bit like the Chris Craft Cobra. With once this is flipped, of course, you'll see that protruding from the stern end. Very unusual boat. And what kind of engine will it be repowered with, Paul?
This one has a V8 Dearborn Interceptor.
Okay.
And they have to have that particular engine because there's very little room for a V8 in this boat.
Yeah, sure, 17 feet.
The Interceptor has a dual carb that sits in between the valve covers, flush with the top, and so it's got a very low height to the motor, and that's the only engine that will fit in this boat.
Oh, okay.
But it's currently being rebuilt, and it'll be back here soon.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, viewers. The two boats currently under restoration at Paul Brackley's boat shop here in Gravenhurst. All the best with both these projects, Paul. Over and out. Hello again, viewers. We're in Tim Butson's shop here in Bracebridge, Ontario, and we're looking here at a beautiful Beamy Shepherd, 1960, a 22-footer. Not only is she beamy, she's got loads and loads of freeboard. No wonder why Shepherd had a reputation as a big water boat. This vessel looks like it would easily handle one of the big lakes. Nice flare on the bow here. And beside the Shepherd we have a Greavette here, and a Greavette Executive that's in for a complete rebuild. Looks like a brand new bottom. Obviously some of the planking above the waterline has been salvaged by the look of it. The Executive was a very classy model of Greavette. I think they built them toward the end of their existence. This is what the boat should and would look like, presumably, when it's completed. The restoration is completed. Certainly looks very structurally strong. Lots of new frames, new keel, and it's like a new half transom. Certainly a V shape, and obviously designed for inboard outboard engine. These two beauties, viewers, seem to be in the last stages of refinishing. The boat on our right, interestingly enough, is a Duke. However, it's built to Chris-Craft specifications. It's a mid-50s Duke apparently, and it was above board. The building of it, apparently, some arrangement must have been made with Chris-Craft, presumably to allow Duke to manufacture a boat to Chris-Craft specs. The masterpiece beside it, the Griffin, as she's titled, was begun in 2014. Despite the antique looks, she's only a couple of years old and has yet to be completed. We've focused on this boat, I believe, once or twice before, but she certainly wasn't at this stage of completion. Looking really gorgeous. We'll zip down for a close-up. The classic lines on this boat are so beautifully done. If you didn't know it, you probably wouldn't realize, except possibly for the instrumentation, that she's a brand new boat. Even the dashboard gauges seem to be in keeping with the style. And of course this webbed flooring certainly helps with aeration and ventilation. Let's check out the engine plant here. The Scorpion. She'll fly, I'm sure. Complete with a mother-in-law seat in the front. Wouldn't be surprising to see this boat in the water, I would think, sometime this year. Perhaps the summer of 2017. It's a pretty magnificent vessel. The monster we're looking at the background here, viewers, is a well, we're not sure of the vintage. We think it's 1960s or perhaps 70s. It's not as old as it looks. 37-footer, double-masted, built in Nova Scotia. Single planked hull, about 7/8 of an inch, and it's in for a new stem and some bottom work, obviously. Quite a sleek looking boat with an enormous wide rudder on it. Apparently this boat's going back to Georgian Bay when it's been completed here. The boat in the foreground here is a 1955 Shepherd. We've focused on this boat once before. It was, we think, the prototype built for pulling water skiers in Cypress Gardens in the United States. Originally powered by a 331 Hemi, Chrysler Hemi engine. And most of the boat was decked. There was one compartment for up front, I guess, for the driver and observers, but built for speed, obviously, and would probably pull a boatload of skiers with a Hemi engine in it. Looks like a new bottom has gone in, and you think she'll be finished for the...
Needs to be done for spring.
Needs to be done for spring. Jurgen tells me. So there you have it. Lots going on at the Butson's Boat Shop. Thanks for watching. Over and out.